It's been a few months since I've been able to make a video. A lot of things been happening around here. I had to work on a couple of projects for some family and friends. And in addition to that, we had a change of internet provider, which meant we ended up with no internet for about a month, which was a little bit frustrating, but survivable. The end result is now we have better internet connection, which means a little bit easier to make YouTube videos. So that's cool. Anyway, to get back into the groove here, we're going to go ahead and dive into a fun project I've been thinking about for a while. I'm going to do a headlight redesign and modification on my 65 Cadillac Hearse here. And the plan is to take 67 headlight bezels and headlight buckets and remove these bezels and buckets and install and rework the fenders and the bumper and everything to match these new buckets. Now, the reason I'm doing that is a couple of different reasons, actually. The first is I like the aesthetic idea of it. I love the stacked headlights on this, but I really like the 67, 68 slanted forward look that the stacked headlights had. So I'm going to use that look from the later cars and bring it into this vehicle. The second reason is that parts for the 65 are incredibly expensive and hard to come by, and I've got some broken buckets and brackets and all sorts of things like that. So by changing over to the 67 style headlights, I'll be able to correct the things that are wrong with it and also improve the look and change the look a little bit, which will make this car more unique. So let's go ahead and dive into some time lapse of disassembling what needs to come apart so I can get started on refabricating everything. Well, let's talk about all the work that I just did here.
So, what I used is 67 headlight bezels. I found a set on eBay. And behind the headlight bezels, as you can see from the time lapses I did a little bit ago, I used 67 buckets. Now the 67 buckets are stamped steel instead of pot metal, which means they're in a lot better condition than the 65 buckets I took out, which were pot metal. So that improved things and made everything fit a lot better with the better stamped steel buckets. Now, let's talk a little bit about all the different parts and pieces that came together to make this conversion work. So I made about 40 individual parts and pieces between round rod around the top of the bezels, 1/2 inch by 1/8 inch thick flat stock around the lower part of the bezel there and to tie into the body lines. And then I used 16 gauge steel to create the outer fender patch piece on the sides. And then on the inside here, I used 22 gauge steel to create these patch pieces. And then the most complicated of all the pieces are these little corners that extend the inside and the outside. And the reason why these are really complicated is because in this position here, this factory panel is pot metal. And so I can't weld this to this, where I could weld here. And outside, I didn't want to weld to the chrome or to the pot metal chromed piece here. So these two pieces are actually flat stock, 1.5 inch wide by 1/8 inch thick that I made patterns and cut to fit. And then I utilized these existing screw holes in the 67 bezels, and I made a bracket that attaches from behind, and then I drilled through this panel and welded through this panel into the bracket so that these corner pieces, all 4 of them, are installed with the screws from behind so you don't have to look at the hardware. All said and done, this conversion took me about 24 hours of labor. And obviously I'm not completely done yet. I plan to paint and bodywork this entire vehicle, and when I do so, I'll have to clean up some of the welds and some of the details before I do bodywork. I may go back and remove some material and fix this low spot, and I may massage this more. It kind of depends on how I decide to do my bodywork. But at this point, I just kind of wanted to put it all together so I could see what everything looked like. And the other thing that I was able to retain from the 65 is the marker light pieces for your turn signals. So I kept the front section of the original fender from the 65 so that I could remount these turn signal indicators because I really like the style of them. And I trimmed them to match the new bezel on the front. And then, as you can see, there's a little bit of gap here. That'll be taken up in body work. And then as far as the top of the fender trim is concerned, I simply moved the fender trim forward to accommodate the new headlight position. All said and done, these headlight bezels add about 2 3/4 inches of length to the vehicle, which, you know, being a Hearse, already pretty long, but I like the look of it. And now we have the complete 67 style headlight on the 65. And I think it looks really good with the lines of the car. I've always preferred the angular look of the 67 lights over the more square look of the 65 lights. And I like the detail of the fender coming into the headlight and the little corner piece. All of it together makes for a really neat combination. So let's go have a look at it with the headlights on. So everything comes on, looks really cool, and it all matches. Drop the shop broom. Anyway, looks really neat. Love the style. And to me, it gives it kind of a unique, sort of a meaner, fiercer look.
So this project has been a lot of fun. Of all the cars I have, my 65 here is absolutely my favorite. And I've been thinking about the design of the headlights for a long time. I've always really loved the 67 style. And I kind of thought maybe I'd have to get myself a 67 Hearse to have that style. And then not so long ago, it occurred to me, I could just make my 65 look more like a 67. So I'm really excited and happy that I was able to do this particular modification, a little light modification to my 65. And I think it's going to really change the overall style of the vehicle moving forward. And in the next little bit, I've decided that I want to do the paint and the body work on this project, which is going to be a huge ordeal and take several months because I got middle doors and quarter panels that really need to be completely replaced. So I think I'm going to have to make myself a sheet metal brake that can, bend a 7-foot long quarter panel. In addition to a bunch of other things that I have to do to make it nice when it's all said and done. So I'm excited about diving into that project moving forward. Eventually I will get back into some of my other projects like the rat rod project and so on and so forth. But for now, for the next several months, I really want to dive into this particular vehicle because it's my favorite. So next time we'll see what kind of other fun I can get into with my 65. And until then, have yourself a wonderful Halloween, and we'll see you next time.